It was repatterning my own life that made new and previously unattainable levels of achievement and success possible. And because I've used repatterning to change myself, this is very much a practical guide. I'm telling you these things based on experience. My own experience of repatterning was quite slow and difficult compared with what I want to explain to you here, and that's really because the tools to make it easy didn't exist. Where they didn't exist, I had to use my knowledge of the subconscious and the way the mind works to create them, and I also had to figure out the best ways to use them. The peestek tools make repatterning very, very easy, and that's what I want to give you here, the easiest and most effective ways to do this and to live your life better, more fully, and more enjoyably. Now, even though it's really very simple, like I said, it's going to take you a while to listen to the whole of this program, and that's because I want to give you as much of this useful information as possible. Then, once you've got it, you can decide exactly how you want to use it. Okay, what is the basis of repatterning? Let me explain that first. By rights, we should all be living abundant and successful lives. In the 21st century, we're living in a world which has more possibilities and more opportunities than have ever existed at any time in history. But it's also a world which changes incredibly fast, aspects of which can make many people feel inadequate. It's a world that presents us with a bewildering variety of choices and decisions every day. It's a world which, despite its wonderful opportunities, more often creates sadness, insecurity, feelings of quiet desperation, feelings of failure, and many other problems. This is a repeating pattern. I'd like to start by talking about the choices we are faced with on a daily basis. To be able to experience successes requires making the right choices, and there's a lot more to this than you might think. The more good choices you make, the more successes you will have, and the more wonderfully positive things will come your way. Now, here I'll use the example of someone who almost always makes bad choices when it comes to relationships. I'm sure that most listeners will know at least one person who always makes bad choices when it comes to relationships. No matter how much they might desire to have a loving and supportive companion, they only ever seem to end up in relationships that are really bad for them. For them, this is a repeating pattern, a series of bad choices made over and over again, never seeming to end. This is an example of a losing pattern being repeated time and again, a prime candidate for repatterning. Now, the same can be said of money and business. Some people experience one failure after another, never seeming to learn from the failures of the past, but simply repeating them over and over again. Repatterning allows you to escape such a pattern and create one that actually works for you instead. Other people have patterns which make them very successful in only one aspect of their lives, but very unsuccessful when it comes to all the other aspects, and those patterns repeat over and over again too. The whole purpose of repatterning is to make old patterns end that don't work, and to create new ones that do work, and to do so as quickly and as easily as possible. Some people routinely make good choices. That's their pattern. They see opportunity, very often not understanding quite why, and they grab it and enjoy the benefits. Other people don't. And the reason that they don't is because their established patterns of feeling, thinking, and doing don't allow them to grab opportunity and to be successful all the time. The reason that I've been asked so many times about how to attract good fortune and to be successful using peestek is because lots of people intuitively understand and realize that to attract good things, you need to change yourself. Yes, of course you do, because no one else is going to do this for you. And the first thing to understand is that to attract more good things into your life and to construct patterns which work for you in positive ways, there are really only three things about yourself that you can change. These are emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. This is my law of three, if you like. These are the three things that you can repattern. Yes, you could also change your appearance, but changing that would constitute a change in behavior to make that happen. So there are three things: emotions, beliefs, and behaviors. First, it's important to know that human beings make practically all of their choices emotionally. We'd like to think that we make decisions based on logic and reason, but in actual fact, what we do most of the time is rationalize decisions that have already been made emotionally. Advertisers and retailers have known about and exploited this for more than 100 years. It's because people make decisions emotionally that sellers try to appeal to potential buyers at an emotional level rather than a logical one. For example, when someone's trying to sell a car, they don't spend hours going through all the technical specs. They focus on how that car will make that buyer feel. the acceleration, the stylish lines, the curves of the bodywork, the colour, the comfort of the leather seats, and so on. And this is why they're always keen for people to take test drives so they can experience how it actually feels to drive the car. And the car salesman will say, feels good, doesn't it? When trying to sell a car to a parent with children, they might also talk about how much safer it'll be for their children than the old car, working on their feelings and fears. In the past, when you've looked at something in a shop or a market, has a seller ever pressed something into your hand and only then talked to you about it, knowing that once you have it in your hands, your feelings will make you far less inclined to hand it back? If you work in sales, by the way, that's a handy tip. It's just the same with bags, shoes, phones, drinks, magazines, although of course with regular purchases, there's also an element of habit as well. People make almost all of their decisions emotionally. The more important the decision, the more likely it is to be made emotionally. You may not think that you make decisions in this way, but you'll discover that you do. And this is one area where repatterning is so crucial, because emotional decisions are decisions not governed by the conscious mind. Emotional decisions are governed by the subconscious mind. If you want the subconscious to make better decisions for you so that you get better outcomes, then you have to repattern it in some way. And being successful with that requires using the right techniques and the right tools. Once done, you'll notice a massive difference in your life. Incidentally, while I remember, earlier I gave the example of someone who always makes bad choices when it comes to partners. This was the example of someone who has one painful failed relationship after another. That's a pattern that can be easily repatterned to make better choices. If you yourself repeat such a behaviour and you're not sure why, then the optional peestek accelerators can help uncover the reasons by stimulating recall of those experiences which created this pattern in the first place. Anyhow, back to emotions. Most important decisions are emotional, even if you can rationalise them, and whatever decisions are made, your decisions dictate your behaviours, and changing your behaviour can change the way people relate to you, your levels of success, your levels of luck, and also how many good things come into your life. Repatterning also changes the way you subconsciously relate to opportunity. And since the subconscious and what it's doing in the background can either enslave you or liberate you, it's worth taking the time to learn how easily you can get it to work for you rather than against you. So the first principle of repatterning is to realize that changing your emotional state can help you make decisions which are in line with a more prosperous and enjoyable way of living. Good decisions usually equate to successful outcomes, and the more good decisions you make, the better the outcomes will be. Most decision-making is emotional. Sometimes it's also habitual, but importantly, a change in emotion can change a habit. And in any case, the peestek repatterning procedures can be used to change habits as well, as you'll find out. Any powerful tool which allows you to affect your emotional state in the right way can help you to make good decisions, and better decisions lead to better experience, increased levels of achievement, and a general increase in what could be called good fortune. Because peestek allows you to change emotions attached to experience, you can use it for very, very effective repatterning. Now, when I designed peestek, I set out to create the world's most powerful and effective tools for changing emotional states. I also created tools to change beliefs and also behaviours.